Hello, plant-based nutrition support group. Everyone, okay, here's the exercise. Turn your mics on, and we've got 1 minute to hug each other, hold each other, and say hello. Ready? Go.
Hello.
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 Hey.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
Sparkles.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I need help with this plant diet.
Yeah.
We got your
All
back.
right.
And the virtual hugs.
Oh my goodness, I love it. You know what? Virtual hugs, they're pretty good. You know, they're pretty good. It's all I got right now.
Better than nothing.
Yeah, it's all I'm getting. Hi, Lisa. Okay. All right. So now, everyone, let's mute up. I trust everyone will. And then here's how it's going to go today. I'm going to talk about a few things. And yes, I did not tell jokes. I like telling jokes. I've got 2 grandkids who like hearing them, a wife who can't stand them. And I'm going to share 5 new ones. So they're short, they're sweet, they're funny. So let's just tell a couple jokes right now. Everyone ready? Here we go. Okay, here we go. I'll start with, how do you take away a bull from charging?
Take his credit card.
Yes, good. You take his credit card away. Okay. I'm very good. Anybody who knows the answer could speak up. That's good. That one, gone. Never going to use that one again. Okay, next one. Here we go. This is one of my favorites. What do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back? Wow. We got all these people.
A stick.
A stick. Okay, another one. Gone. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. I had 2 jokes on that sheet. That was a good one. What do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back? A stick. Okay, good one. Okay, here we go. Why does Dr. Robert Brakey wear 2 pair of pants when he goes golfing?
I don't know.
In case he gets a hole in one.
Oh, make
I know. You're warming up to me. You're warming up. Here we go. I got a couple more for you. I'm saving my best one right here. Okay, here we go. Hey, did you guys hear about the new plant-based restaurant on the moon?
Warning of the very real potential of new attacks following.
Oh, wait, time out. Let's make sure everyone's muted.
I got it.
Okay, here we go. I'll do it again. Hey, did you guys hear about this great new plant-based restaurant on the moon? The food is amazing, but there's no atmosphere.
Raina got that one right.
Okay, now, you know, I always think that this is one of my best jokes. Here we go. What are the strongest days of the week? Anybody? Anybody? Okay, well, here it is. It's Saturday and Sunday because the rest are weekdays. Yeah. Hey, you know what? It was well worth the 20 hours of straight time looking up these 5 incredible jokes. All right, real quickly, I want to, again, welcome everybody. There's a lot of great things going on. And Megan and or Lisa will kind of share all the activities we have coming up. What's amazing, these are just crazy times for all of us. And I first pray and hope that you and yours are safe. If anybody does have COVID, I pray for a speedy recovery and health. I am certain, without question, if we're whole food plant-based like me, I've been quarantined since the 13th of February, but my antibodies are ready to go to war with anything. So please do the very best you can. This organization is built on community without judgment. It always will be. If anybody's interested, we have an amazing small group director in Megan, and we are welcoming everyone to join a small group. We're now expanding into, I think, 6, 7 states, and it's going to continue. Most importantly, we're here. So if you have a question for a doctor, you could put it on the website. If you have a question for a nutritionist, we're here. We are here to support you in your health journey. So again, I want to welcome you. And now I'd like to kindly introduce, okay, you know how you have a few heroes in your life? Some people you look up to, and it could be, like somebody older, somebody younger, it's just somebody you admire. Well, I would like to, for those who don't know, I have a real feeling about this person. And she came into my life maybe 3 years ago, And what amazes me is she's younger, she's so much smarter. And she's taught me a lot about me, which is almost unheard of these days. But her name is Lisa Smith, and she's our executive director. And I want to go public with this. I love Lisa Smith, okay? I love her. So I hope you will as well. And I'd like to introduce Lisa Smith, everybody. Let's all give her a, hey, here's the exercise. Everyone unmute. Yay!
Yay!
Woo, 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 woo.
Hey.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Lisa, it's all you.
Hey guys, I just want to welcome you for a moment to the Plant-Based Nutrition Support Group, our monthly virtual group. I apologize that I am not in better lighting, but I'm traveling right now. First and foremost, I want to appreciate and welcome Megan. She's our new small group host who has been doing an absolutely phenomenal job of making sure things run exceptionally smoothly as we're 100% virtual right now. I started with PBNSG as a small group host myself in Detroit, which was a phenomenal experience, and then had the pleasure of, building a relationship with Paul. So we really, really hope that this small group, this monthly support group, serves as a support system for you, no matter where you are on your plant-based journey, whether you are a veteran who's trying to relight the flame or a beginner who's just getting started. We really welcome you guys and appreciate you. So thank you so much. And I think you're in for a treat with our speaker tonight.
Thank you, Lisa. All right, am I taking the floor to introduce the meeting?
Go for it, Megan.
All right, well, I want to welcome all of our attendees, including our first timers and our returning members and regulars. Welcome all, we're so happy to see you. I also want to welcome PBNSG staff that are in attendance, including Paul, the founder of PBNSG and the face of an amazing inspirational story of going from nearly dying to strong, vibrant, and healthy through a plant-based lifestyle. Thank you, Marion Treese, for being here, Administrative Director, Lisa Smith, Executive Director, Brett Nyquist, Dr. Bob Brakey. Thank you all for being here tonight. We're so excited to see all of your faces. My name is Megan Burt. I'm the new Director of Small Groups. I have been living a plant-based lifestyle for over 14 years. I'm closing in on 15. And my primary role with PBNSG is to help support hosts and members of small groups find success and celebrations with their plant-based lifestyles. I have a 4-year-old, he's turning 5 actually pretty soon, plant-based toddler, and his health, energy, strength is my daily inspiration to educate and support individuals and families. Nothing excites me more than helping pave the way for this plant-based movement and hearing success stories and positive effects that result from this way of life. For those that are new to PBNSG, PBNSG stands for Plant-Based Nutrition Support Group, and that's exactly what we do. We support each other. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to evidence-based education and advocacy of plant-based whole foods nutrition to help individuals prevent or reverse chronic disease and achieve optimal health. I want to remind everyone that you can visit pbnsg.org website, which I'll type in the chat box later on, in order to subscribe to our newsletter, register for our virtual events, find small group information, find amazing recipes, ask our physician or dietitian questions, order merchandise. We have some fun shirts that Paul's been coming up with great slogans on the front. I've already ordered a couple for my dad and my husband. And please note that for donation-based speaking events, attendees receive an email containing the link to view the recording 24 to 48 hours afterwards. You can also join our Sprout Club. There's just so much. So please check out our website. You can also follow PBNSG on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So before I introduce our speaker today, I want to take a brief moment to celebrate everyone who's here and honor all those that have reached key milestones in their plant-based lifestyle, whether it's 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, a year, a week, all of those are milestones that we are to celebrate. If anyone wants to take a minute to share a milestone they have just want to talk about for a few minutes, or a short share, I'm welcome to unmute yourself and let us know anything you want to. We had Armando last month share his amazing story. So if anyone wants to, feel free, or else we can hear crickets chirping and we can move on. It's up to you.
Here, I'd like to share. This is Glenda from Michigan.
Thank you.
Hi. So I'm almost celebrating a year. It'll be a year probably in May. Yeah, and I went through Lisa's her farm to table course, which basically introduced me to the plant-based lifestyle. I don't call it a diet, it's a lifestyle. And I've lost 20 pounds since then. And I feel so much healthier, have so much more energy. And it's a journey. So that's my story. And I'm getting my family on board slowly but surely.
Slowly
So
but surely. One day at a time, one meal at a time,
exactly.
one bite at a time. My
Right.
husband started with meatless Mondays, thoughtful Thursdays, something Tuesdays, and then all of a sudden it was 7 days a week.
So he's completely plant-based now.
Yes, he's 4 years.
Hey, that's great.
Never say never, because he was the man who ate bacon, butter, dairy, quesadilla,
Exactly.
and Red Bull.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for the encouragement. Thanks, Megan.
Congratulations on your 1 year. That's definitely something to be proud of.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our featured speaker. We're quite excited to have her,
Megan,
Lauren Bernick.
Megan, just
Yes.
really quickly, yell out all the places around the country that are viewing in. I'm looking at it just before we get Lauren on board. You guys are just, it's amazing. We're all over the world. So if you could just list out a few of these, it's just eye-opening to me.
I'm seeing people from California, Seattle, Oregon, Idaho, Michigan, Arizona, Canada, UK. I got an email today from someone in the UK. Keep typing in the chat box. Vancouver Island, Georgia, Asheville, North Carolina, Michigan, Detroit, Canada, Massachusetts. My gosh, we could spend the whole hour going through these locations. New Jersey, South Carolina, Denver, Atlanta, Virginia, Boston, North Carolina.
Hey,
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing. Hey, one quick thing to everybody, for the people in Boston, we're opening up a brand new small group in Quincy. So go to the website. You want to connect with these people right away. And Kurt Peterson, by the way, great to see you, my friend. All right, it's all yours. I'll try and shut up. Watch, I'm going to zip it up.
All right, Lauren, I'm going to give a brief bio so everyone knows who you are, and then you'll have the floor. So everyone, we have an amazing speaker today, Lauren Bernick. She became an inadvertent health advocate when she was diagnosed with coronary artery disease at the age of 46. After researching alternatives to life on statins and other medications, Lauren began following Dr. Esselstyn's Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease, just like Paul and so many people. That's the book that started my life on this path. Wanting to understand more about why eating this way reverse disease, she earned a certificate in plant-based nutrition from T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies. She honed her writing and stage skills as a stand-up comic and was a semi-finalist in Roseanne Barr's Funniest Mom in America on Nickelodeon in 2007 and winner of the Funniest Mom of Austin, Texas. She now helps others adopt a plant-based lifestyle through her website, which I'll post in the chat box, www.wellelephant.com, social media, speaking arrangements, and classes. I will type in her Instagram account and her website. You can sign up for Lauren's free 3-day meal plan and grocery list on her website. So without further ado, thank you, Lauren, for being here. You have the floor.
Thank you. Okay. Well, thanks for having me. I will say Paul is the best opening act I ever had as a stand-up comic. So that was pretty amazing. So a little bit about my story. I grew up in the 70s and 80s on a steady diet of McDonald's and TV dinners and Tab and Diet Coke. And my favorite after school snack was potato chips dipped in sour cream and washed down with a bottle of Yoo-hoo, which if you don't know what that is, it's like this disgusting chocolate milk. And then I started smoking when I was 14 years old. So clearly you have come to the right place for nutrition advice. But when I was about 18 years old, I decided to clean up my act a little bit because I went to the clinic at college and the doctor started yelling at me because she was like, your cholesterol is 330. You are not going to live to see 30 years old. So I decided I better kind of get a little bit serious about my diet. And I ate what probably most Americans who are adults think is healthy. You know, I was eating fruits and vegetables. I ate very little meat, like maybe a little bit of chicken, but I was mostly a vegetarian. I ate, you know, no white flour, very little sugar, lots of smoothies and healthy oils like olive oil. And so I thought, and avocados and nuts and seeds. So I was eating what I thought was healthy. I lost a little bit of weight. I started exercising. And so really for my entire adult life, I would have said I was a healthy eater. Fast forward to about maybe 5.5 years ago, I went to my OBGYN because that was the only doctor I ever saw for my well woman. And she said, you know you eat healthy, but we need to get to the bottom of what's going on with you. I want you to take a CT scan test because your cholesterol won't budge under 288, and that's just really not acceptable. And a calcium CT score test, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it measures the amount of plaque in your arteries. So I took that and was mortified to find out that my arteries were 75% worse than other women my age. So I just couldn't believe it. I went to the cardiologist and he was like, look, you're on track for a heart attack. You know, you probably have 5 to 10 years with what you have going on before you have a heart attack. But he's like, don't worry. All you have to do is eat healthy, like chicken and fish and fruits and vegetables and healthy fats, like, you know, nuts and seeds and avocados and olive oil and some low fat dairy. And I'm like, that's exactly what I eat right now. That's 100% what you named is what I eat. So how can that be right? And he's like, well, you also have to exercise. And I said, I exercise. And he said, well, you have to take a statin. And I said, so if I take a statin, that will get rid of my heart disease? And he was like, well, get rid of it? What? You know, like apparently I felt like I was the first person who really ever asked, like, how do I get rid of my heart disease? Because he just seemed like completely flabbergasted. And he said, you know, you're not going to get rid of your heart disease. You already have heart disease, but you can control it with, you know, diet, exercise, and a statin. And I just said, well, I burst into tears. And then I said, you know, that's just not good enough for me. That doesn't make sense to me. I want to get to the root of the problem. So I left there, and not by coincidence, I found Dr. Esselstyn's Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease book, and I ordered his wife and daughter's cookbook, by Jane and Ann Esselstyn. And every day I ate oatmeal for breakfast, and then I would literally just cook something out of that cookbook for lunch and something out of the cookbook for dinner until I got the hang of it. And I dropped 20 pounds. I changed the size and shape of my blood platelets, and I dropped my cholesterol 100 points without, you know, taking a statin. So I'm a firm believer in this way of eating. I've been doing it for 5.5 years. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about how to eat on the go, because I think everybody can kind of get a little bit of a grasp on it when they're at home. But when you leave the house, it just puts you in a panic, like a cold sweat, because there's just so many things to know about. So let me just start. If we don't get through all of them, I do have some videos on my website about how to travel and all that. And if we don't get through everything, I'm going to try and be mindful of the time. But let's start with just going out to eat at a restaurant. Hopefully something we'll all get to do, you know, pretty soon. But let's start with going out to eat at a restaurant when you know you're going out to eat. So this is not on the fly, like you're planning, okay, I'm going to go tomorrow night. So the first thing you want to do is like identify some places where you can eat. So there's a couple of things. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Plant Pure Communities. So you can Google like Plant Pure Communities restaurant campaign or restaurant certificate, or go to their website, plantpurecommunities.org. And this is all across the world, really. They have restaurants that know how to make you a plant-based, oil-free meal. So you can Google that. You can kind of put in, you know, what city you're in and go from there. Now, I will tell you, I've done this in other cities when I've traveled, and do call ahead of time because, you know, they have restaurant turnover and sometimes people leave and the chef doesn't know what you're talking about anymore. So give them a call before you go. And then another option is happycow.net. So they have vegan and vegetarian options, like restaurants across the United States on happycow.net. And you can kind of look at their menus and see what you might be able to eat. Now, I actually always find it's a little bit harder to eat at a vegan restaurant, if you can believe this, than just a regular restaurant. And I feel like the reason is, you know, it's generally a smaller setup, maybe a mom and pop place. They do a lot of prep ahead of time. They use a lot of oil. A lot of things are already marinating in oil. But that's another option, to use happycow.net. And then my favorite one is opentable.com. So opentable.com, again, you can filter it by like vegan or vegetarian. But I actually think my favorite thing is that you can just look at all the menus online, and you can pick an area, you know, the area of town you're going to be in, cruise the menus. And what I like to do is find a restaurant that has like a vegan option on it, because then you know they kind of understand vegan, and then you just have to tackle the oil-free part. So go ahead and actually book the reservation. And I think it's better if you actually make the reservation. You can do it through OpenTable and then call the restaurant, because there's a little more at stake. You know, it's not like, hi, I might come in sometime. It's like, I'm coming in tomorrow. I want to make sure I can eat. So you book the reservation, and then you're going to call the restaurant. So you want to call the restaurant when they're not busy. So you either call between 10 and 11 a.m. or 2 to 5 p.m. That way there's like a manager there, or the chef is there, but they're not, you know, running around trying to service the restaurant. So you call up and you say, hi, this is Lauren. I have a reservation for tomorrow night. Can I speak to the chef or the manager, please? They'll put the chef or the manager on the phone and just say, you know, hi, I'm coming in tomorrow night. I have a reservation for 4 people, but I just want to make sure that I'll be able to eat there because I have a serious dietary restriction. I'm vegan, and then I also cannot eat any oil because of a heart condition. And, you know, I always kind of say I'm vegan, so I can't eat any meat, chicken, dairy, butter, eggs, and I can't eat any oil. But I've looked at your menu online, and I noticed that you have this beautiful cauliflower dish that's already vegan, and I noticed it's not fried. So I was wondering, could you possibly make that without oil for me? And, you know, they'll either say yes or no. Either the thing is already prepped and it has oil, or they'll be able to accommodate you that way. If they say like, you know, well, that's already in oil, but maybe we can make you something else. You can maybe give them some other suggestions from their menu, or, you know, lots of times I've just said, look, I will eat anything as long as it's vegan and it doesn't have oil. You can make me anything you want, and I will so gladly eat it. Just, you know, it's kind of in the way you say it. I think a lot of times they're really nervous that you're not going to like the food, and especially if they're cooking it without oil. So just reassure them, you know, I eat like this all the time. This is how I like to eat. I'm used to it. I'll love anything you make for me. And then when you show up, actually love it, even if you have to barf it down, just eat it and be appreciative. But I've had some amazing meals, just like leaving it up to them. But like I said, it is a little bit better if you can go ahead and make some suggestions. When I go, I don't know, well, you guys are all over, you're not just in Michigan. So where I live in Texas, I'm in Austin, Texas, we go out for Mexican food like a lot. So one of my things is that I have some Mexican restaurants I know where I can get beans that don't have oil in them, that are vegan. And then I go ahead and I cook ahead of time some organic corn tortillas in the oven. I bake them at like 400 for like 10, 12 minutes, put them in my purse, sneak them into the restaurant with me. I get the oil-free beans. Then I order some pico de gallo and some salsa, and then I pull out my beans, maybe some lettuce, and then I make like my own little taco salad. So that's one thing. When you go to an Italian restaurant ahead of time, you can kind of suggest to them, hi, do you have any, go through your whole spiel, and then do you have any vegan pasta? So pasta that's made without eggs. Now, rest assured, they're going to tell you, absolutely, we have gluten-free pasta. They're always so proud of their gluten-free, and they kind of mix it up with vegan for some reason. But just say, that's fantastic, but a lot of times gluten-free has eggs in it. So I just want to be sure your pasta doesn't have eggs in it. And then they'll check, and then they'll say yeah or no, yes, we have a vegan pasta, and say, fantastic. Can you just maybe saute some garlic and vegetables and some white wine and just toss it over that vegan pasta for me? And I eat that all the time at an Italian restaurant. Asian, you're going to end up probably, you know, with some steamed vegetables and some brown rice. Again, sneak in your sriracha or your tamari with that, or your Bragg's liquid amino, so you can kind of spice it up a little. And then you're good to go. So those are some of the things, you know, my bag of tricks, so to speak, of what kind of restaurant. If you're going to a steakhouse, beware. A lot of times you'll end up with like a baked potato and steamed vegetables, but make sure that the baked potato is not rolled in oil. A lot of times they'll make the baked potatoes ahead of time, and then they'll kind of grease them up with oil and then stick them in a warmer drawer. So if you're going to end up at a steakhouse, you know, make sure that the baked potato isn't in oil. Call ahead of time for that. But I'll be honest, I don't love to end up with steamed vegetables. I mean, I'm looking for a meal. So a lot of times if they say, I'm going to make you steamed vegetables, I'm like, you are amazing. Thank you so much. You know, maybe I'm going to come back another time, but I'm going to try for something else. I'm kind of looking for a meal. And then I kind of just move on to the next restaurant. So does anybody have any questions about that before I move on? Megan, are we doing questions now or at the end?
We usually do questions and answers at the end, but
Okay.
if anything pops up at the moment, I'll interrupt you. Paul has a question. Paul, you need to unmute yourself. Paul, you need to unmute. He's still muted.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so you brought up a great point about the potatoes, the baked potatoes being rolled in a little bit of oil. I have also found out that they do the same with broccoli. So if you're going to order like some broccoli, sometimes they'll spray a little bit of oil on it. So again, you know, I agree with everything you're saying, but I would almost give them a sense of urgency, say I'm deathly allergic to oil. You know, I say that, and I said, you know, you don't want to see a bad reaction. It's almost immediate with oil. So I put a fear into them. But again, I couldn't echo enough what Lauren said, which is call ahead. You know you're going to go out, call ahead, talk to the owner, talk to the head chef, and then introduce yourself when you get in. Yeah, it's a little bit of a pain, but you get to go out and be with your loved ones. So it's all worth it.
I agree with saying you're allergic, because they don't want you to have an allergic reaction. I started doing that a couple years ago, and it seems to be the trick. And I don't think it's lying, because I am allergic, because if I do eat oil, I'll probably get pretty sick. So
I agree. And sometimes I actually do say that, but I reiterate that several times. I kind of glossed over it, but you're absolutely right, because they generally get the vegan part, but I also make sure that they understand no butter, because then they'll be like, oh, she doesn't need oil. I've also had them, cook it in butter. So I stress that I'm vegan, so I can't have any butter. Don't cook it in butter. I can't have any oil. I have a health condition or I'm allergic. But yes, I go over that several times to make sure they understand. So that's going out to eat when you know you're going out to eat ahead of time.
We do have
so
a quick
now
question.
The next thing is
one quick question.
Out. I'm sorry.
We have one quick question from Glinda. Do you get pushback from restaurants when you make these requests that are so specific?
No, I really don't. I mean, like you're not calling up Chili's. You're calling up like, a decent restaurant that has a chef. Sometimes they just simply say, we can't really accommodate you because everything's already pre-cooked, but we can make you some steamed vegetables. That's generally what there's, or we can make you a salad with, and I'm not looking for a lettuce with lemon on it either. I want to eat. So, if that's the case, then I just say, I appreciate your time. And then I move on to the next restaurant if they do give me pushback. But you'd be surprised that they generally try to accommodate you as long as you're really nice about it. So, okay, now here's the next thing. You're going out to eat and you're just running errands and you don't know where you're going to end up, and you end up eating out on the fly. So a couple of things. I make a really nice oil-free dressing. My favorite one is out of Rip Esselstyn's book, The Engine 2 Diet. It's E2 Basics dressing. I make that oil-free dressing, and I have a leak-proof container. And I put this in my purse. My friend Shelly says she can't be a vegan because her purse isn't big enough. But, you know, I ordered this on Amazon, I'm sorry to say. Amazon leak-proof container, it came 2 to a pack. And I put my oil-free salad dressing in here. I have it ready to go if I know I'm going to be out and about for the day. And then I also have my baked corn tortilla chips in my purse because, you know, like I said, I'm in Texas, and a lot of times I end up with Mexican food. So I have something that if I don't know where I'm going, I can generally get a salad, worst case scenario. But you go into a restaurant, you're walking in cold, you haven't seen the menu. First thing to do is just assess the situation like we just did, you know, before ahead of time, like on opentable.com. Oh, I also forgot to tell you, if you're ever in Austin, I have a restaurant guide on my website too, that I've already done the work for you, where you can get a plant-based oil-free meal. So if you ever come to Austin, you can do that. But so now you're gonna walk into the restaurant cold, you assess the menu, like, is there anything vegan on there that maybe can be made without oil? You talk to your waiter, generally the same way that you just did to the chef or the manager, and really stress either I have an allergy or, you know, I can't have it. Go through the whole spiel, and same thing, they can either accommodate you or they can't, but you're walking in cold with your salad dressing, so at least you have that. So that's really that. The next thing is, like, let's say you're going to a friend's house, they want to have you over for dinner. You can be like, look, I have some serious dietary restrictions. So if you just tell me what you're making, I can kind of mimic it and bring my own thing so that you don't, you know, you don't have to stress out about it. The main thing you want to keep in mind is you don't want to feel deprived of anything. You don't want to end up somewhere at a party or some kind of event or your friend's house, and everybody's eating and enjoying all this beautiful food, and you feel like, I'm eating a carrot, you know, forget it. Nobody wants that. So, you know, if you're going to a friend's house, just find out what they're making, mimic it, bring your own version of it. That's one way to do it. If your friend is really insistent, if you have nice friends, unlike me, maybe, you can, then they really insist they want to make you something, you can really suggest something easy, like, you know, quinoa pasta with a fat-free marinara, something easy like that, or you know, give them an easy recipe for a vegan oil-free chili, something that they can make, something, you know, an easy recipe, the baked potato and the salad. You can bring your dressing. That's really for going to a friend's house. I do it all the time, like, well, in regular times, like for book club or whatever, I just find out what the host is making and I bring my own thing of it. So that's that. Going to like a wedding or bar mitzvah, a corporate event, you know, something like that, where you're going to be eating in a big, like, ballroom type situation with people. Like, if you're going to a wedding, you don't want the bride to have to call and do this for you. Just say, you know, explain your whole thing about your dietary restriction and say, can you give me the caterer's number so I can call and handle this? Call the caterer. I've done this many times, and honestly, I've had fabulous meals. You call, you explain the whole thing, just like we did with the manager and the chef, and either they can accommodate you or they can't. If they can't accommodate you, which has really never happened to me, if they can't do it, then find out what they're serving. And again, you're gonna have to bring in like a little baggie. You're gonna come in with your canvas tote bag or your lunch bag or whatever, but you're gonna have to bring in your own food and kind of mimic what they're having, you know, within, you're probably not going to pull out a whole big meal, but you'll pull out something and have something good to eat. And keep in mind, like, are you the kind of person that's going to drool over the wedding cake, or are you going to drool over the appetizers? Like for me, you know, cheese was my thing, dips were my thing. So I'm going to show up to a wedding with like a spinach artichoke dip that I can eat, a plant-based one, and some chips or some rice crackers, because that's going to be the thing that's going to make me lose my mind if I'm watching everybody else eat and I can't eat. But if you're the kind of person who's going to drool when they're making, you know, cutting the wedding cake, make yourself a cupcake, you know, have something that you can pull out of your bag and that you could feel good about. Let me check the time, how we're doing. course, I can't see the time.
We have about 10 minutes before we
10
should
minutes, we
Q&A.
still have a little more time. Okay. So does anybody have any questions about that so far, or should
I would like to chime in when you spoke about mimicking things. You know,
Uh-huh.
as a parent, you know, my son's in school, you know, parents would bring in cupcakes, cakes, or they'd have a pizza party. The teacher, I always said, let me know what's happening so I can send in a mimic. So like if they did a cupcake party, I'd make my plant-based whole foods one that looked like a vanilla cupcake if she was serving vanilla. Everything matched, but it was plant-based whole foods. Therefore, he felt normal. He sat at the table with his friends and had just what they're having, but it was plant-based whole foods. So similar idea, always mimicking what's being offered in that social setting.
Let me also add, if you don't mind, I'd like to add something to everybody, which is, and by the way, you know, when 8 years ago, there weren't as many food options as there are today. It's truly amazing, all the different meal choices you have that are whole food, plant-based, no oil. In fact, I just made a black bean brownie that, you know, it wasn't as chocolatey as I remember, but man, the texture was incredible. So I guess my point here is, you know, for me, I was a 100% foodie. Okay, 100%. I lived my life around food. And now, you know, I realize, you know, I've got to eat food to live, but I try to kind of stay in the moment and say, okay, I'm not going to have this food. I may have to have a salad, or I may have to have vegetables. I may have to have something else. But what I constantly am reminded is, God, how good I feel. Like, just that has to be that's my driving force. It's like I could work out every day, never feel sore. My cholesterol numbers are so low. I didn't have the surgery. I have to fall back on all the things that are so strong and positive, knowing that, you know, it's still not quite the food that I remember, but today there's so many great food choices. And, you know, for me, and Lauren, you're right, it's a lifestyle change to everybody. I used to think it was a diet. No, it's a lifestyle change. So early in the morning, I commit to once a week making something new. And today I made tzatziki sauce. And you know what? It was pretty darn good. So you get a bunch of pretty darn goods. And if I showed you my refrigerator, I got a list of like 10 new meals I've made in the last 10 weeks. They're pretty darn good, and I could repeat them. I want to have a Rolodex of about 30 different choices and then repeat, repeat, repeat. Then I'm in a good place.
Yep, I agree with everything. It is a lifestyle, and I feel so good and so happy, and I don't have to worry about my weight. You know, my cholesterol's come down a tremendous amount, but it takes commitment. You can't just show up cold somewhere. You have to have a plan, and it takes some planning. And I know that's overwhelming for some people, but you get used to it. You get used to being able to do this. You'll find you're going to have restaurants in your neighborhood that, you know, after a while, they know you, they know what you can eat, you know, just from going in. The stakes are a little bit higher for them because you live in the area, and you're like, look, if you can make me something, I'll come in all the time. And so that you end up building up like a little network of places you can eat. But, you know, it does get a little bit harder when you're out and about and you're traveling. But again, you just have to pick up the phone and call and ask pleasantly, and just reassure them, I'm going to love anything you make for me. So that's really the key there. And then again, the mimicking. You don't want to show up and watch everybody eat and feel deprived. That's really the main thing.
You mentioned building a relationship with the chefs. I was in India a couple years, 4 years ago, at a Marriott where it was we were there for almost 2 weeks, a huge dining area, and the chefs got to know me. And by the third day, they would just put all the food in front of me, and they all loved me because they thought it was so amazing how much this little person could consume. It was almost like a show, but they knew me. And I went 5 years ago, and then I went a year later. And when I came back a year later, they all remembered me. And I was like, and they had no problem with it. They thought it was amazing and great. And it was just such a great thing. But you can eat so much when you eat this way. That's the best part of it all.
Yes, I am often teased about the amount of food I can put down. So, yeah. Well, the only thing that's really left is travel, and it's kind of extensive. But again, I'm just going to talk really quickly about. You probably have to watch the videos because there's not a lot of time left. But the thing that I was telling you about, the leak-proof container, you're going to want to bring this because let's say you're going to like you're staying at a hotel for work and you have to go down for a breakfast meeting, or you're going to meet your friends for brunch. You're going to pack in your suitcase. You're going to have to check your bag. I always say I have to check my bag because of the amount of shoes and the amount of food I have. So in my bag that I check, I bring like a plant milk. I bring cereal. I bring, what else? I bring, like crackers, like a rice cracker, or, you know, Mary's Gone cracker, something, or my chips, something that I'll be able to dip into some salsa. I bring pad thai. I make a big thing of pad thai because it travels really well. It packs up in the plane real nice. It stays cold in the belly of the plane, and I can eat it for days when I'm out of options. So I always pack up like a pad thai. Sometimes I'll take quinoa and lentils. Quinoa and lentils pack up a lot better than rice and beans. I'll tell you that, because you can eat them cold and it's not as, I don't know, rice gets really dried out like brown rice and beans, but quinoa and lentils travel a lot better. So I bring all that in my bag that I check if I'm going on a plane. Sometimes I bring my salad dressing in my leak-proof container, but that way I'm really ready for anything. And so if I can't, you know, eat what is in front of me or whatever the situation is, I have some options. I'm going to eat the best I can. Maybe it is steamed vegetables, but when I get back to my hotel room, I'm going to eat some, you know, a bowl of cereal with my plant milk. But again, I'm going to bring this leak-proof container. It's really good to transport my plant milk from my room to my brunch or to my meeting for coffee. I bring 2 of them if I'm going to end up eating like oatmeal in the hotel. I'll bring this and also put it on my oatmeal. So if I'm going on a plane and I'm just going on a short trip and I'm not going to check a bag, I'm going to just in my carry-on, it's going to be really limited. And beware of hummus. I've gotten my hummus confiscated from me before. So, you know, you try to eat a good meal before you go. If you're going to be on a long flight, you want to have maybe a sandwich and something that's not smelly. You don't want to do a lot of the foods that we eat are kind of smelly because of all like the broccoli and the cauliflower, they get a little stinky, but try, that's why I bring like maybe the pad thai on the plane. It's not stinky, it's really filling. Or you could bring the lentils and quinoa in your carry-on bag. And you won't be able to bring your plant milk. You'll have to do something when you get to the hotel, maybe get some soy milk or whatever they have at the hotel. So it's not quite as good, but you're going to be kind of set up, and just do the best you can. You'll be calling the restaurants again and all that same thing. And, you know, just do the best you can and supplement with your cereal and your food that's in your room, or kind of pack some little containers that are empty so that you can put your big food into the small containers. And of course, you're going to have a little mini fridge in your room. All the Marriotts have mini fridges in their room, so you can take your big container of food, put it in the big fridge, the little fridge in your room, pack some down into your bag and take it with you when you leave the hotel. And that's good for a few days. So I think that's probably about it. There's other things, traveling by car. I have some other advice for that, but you know, you can watch the videos and get a good.
We actually had a question emailed about being on the road, if you don't mind. She says that she gets boring. She's in a rut. She does fruits, sliced up veggies, peanut butter sandwich, and she'd like to get more adventurous. And if you have any ideas, I told her I'd bring baked chickpeas everywhere I go. I have a jar in my car with sea salt because I like crunchy, salty. But she'd like a few ideas just to help her break out of the fruit, veggie, peanut butter sandwich idea in the car.
In the car. Okay,
yeah, on the road.
In the car, but again, I just make like a giant thing of pad thai. I make Isa Chandra Moskowitz's recipe. It's Post Pump Kitchen. And go to postpumpkitchen.com and look for Isa, look for her everyday pad thai recipe, and just omit the oil. She puts oil in the recipe, but just leave that out. I make up a big thing of pad thai, put it in the cooler. It packs up really nicely, and you can eat it for days on the road. And again, the lentils and quinoa. And then if you've been on a road trip and you're coming back, you're going to be out of food likely on your way back. So what I do is I find a pizza restaurant. This is not great because it's white flour. It would not be my first choice. This is like a worst case scenario, but I get a pizza that, you know, they don't have a lot of oil in their marinara and just tons of veggies, and I eat that on the way back.
Let me, if I could, I want to say a couple things. First, I want to add to it. It's very important you develop a couple local restaurants. So kind of to piggyback with what you said, when I travel, when I come back, I call, there's in where I live, there's maybe 4 restaurants that are tired of me, but they love me, if you know what I mean. And I just call one of them and say, hey, I'll be there. I'm going to do a big pickup. Boom, not have to worry about it. Let's just really quickly address oil replacement. You know, I grew up with olive oil, okay, and all kinds of oil. And because of that, I got coronary heart disease. Thank you. So I use water, vegetable broth. I use onions a lot, and I just slowly steam those things, and they kind of, I don't know, bleed out or whatever they are, and ooze like an oil, you know, substance, but it's not oil. And you know, the other thing I try to do is stir faster. Okay, just, you know, you don't need the oil, just stir it a little faster. So, you know, like when you're contemplating, oh, I got to have oil, you really don't. You really don't. And just try it. You won't miss it, and you'll be able to taste the fruits or the vegetables for what they really taste like. Because I know in my days of oil, everything tasted kind of oily. Now they taste like real vegetables. Okay, that's just a quick little thought.
Yep.
All right, Ernesto.
Yes, Lorraine, thank you very much. One of these days, we have a pleasure to visit you. I'm living in Corpus Christi, Texas, so we are kind of neighbors.
Great.
One of the restaurant that I go to eat is a Japanese restaurant, Aka Japanese, where they serve a miso soup and a seaweed salad. So excellent. Of course, people who are following a DASH diet may not be so accepting that because the salt, but still the studies are that it's an excellent, you know, restaurant food. The next question that I have, what is your opinion about the veggie burgers? I eat some of them. What is anybody has any opinion, which is the best veggie burger to eat?
Veggie burger?
Veggie burgers, yeah.
Honestly, I don't eat any of the pre-made ones like the Beyond Meat or anything like that. They have a lot of oil in them. I make a really quick, simple black bean burger. Susan Voisin, it's like Fat-Free Kitchen, I think. If you Google Susan Voisin, Voisin, it's called like a simple black bean burger. It cooks up really quickly, like 5 minutes. You can have that thing in the oven. And I do that recipe. I think the other ones have too much oil in them.
Let me just throw this at everybody. Last week I made bulgur wheat burgers. Okay, and you know, I Googled, you know, bulgur wheat burgers. I took the oil out. I'm not a good cook, so it took a lot of pans, a lot of, you know, but at the end of the day, I've had all the different types of burgers, but the bulgur is the base. To me, tasted phenomenal. So I went back and I made 20 of them, and I froze them. So now I've got them for multiple meals. So something was a little different. Never had bulgur before. Loved it. So, you know, give that a try.
Hi, I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Hi. I am a flight attendant, and I will give you guys a great tip for your liquids. They're called breast milk bags.
Interesting.
Breast milk bags. Those work great. So,
but you can get through security with those?
Breast milk bags?
You better.
You're breastfeeding your baby. You're the baby.
Well, wait, hold on. Can you see through them? Like, does it have to look like milk?
No, they know what milk. I mean, milk looks like milk, regardless if it's plant-based milk or whatever. It's your breast. It's a breast milk
for
bag.
Plant-based milk. That's brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
Laura, quickly, what was the website that you mentioned earlier so I can type in the chat box? You mentioned a website, Post Kitchen or something like that?
Postpunk PUNK Kitchen.
Okay.
Those are, it's gonna have oil. You're just gonna have to omit the oil.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I put that in the chat box. Do we have any other questions?
I just wanted to add something fast for us who are in the late 60s or what have you, and traveling. I always carry with me my multi-enzymes digestive because that's so critical, for at least for me and a lot of people after aging. Let's be frank, we have significant failure in having the good enzymes. The best enzyme as a physician, I think that is the one that's going to have all the different enzymes in there. And we always, with my wife, take this one with us whenever we're traveling because this for us is very helpful. Just a tip for you guys.
Yeah, and let me also say to everybody, this is, you're going to be on the ground on this one. Ready? So you miss a meal. I mean, sometimes I just miss the meal and then I pick it up later. So if you're, in between traveling, you'll get through it. So once in a while, I just miss a meal. Dr. Brakey, I see you smiling. Please, can you share a few thoughts? And then we got, about 9 minutes before we got to wrap it up, but we want to answer any questions we can as quick as we can.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for a great presentation.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you so much.
It's really getting to the how that PBNSG is all about. A lot of people have made it through the why step, recognizing that whole food, plant-based nutrition best prevents the chronic diseases I see in my office every day, even reverses many of them. And then the challenge is the how in the real world. So you did a great service here for us to help. Paul says it's gotten easier in his term. I've been doing this for 43 years. And that was a time frame where restaurants didn't even know the difference between a plant and animal. But you all are entering a great space now with opening of restaurants and food stores, catering to this movement because it's strong and growing. And we know that demand will continue to grow as people recognize this. So it will continue to get easier. In the meantime, follow the tips, find ways that work for you to both travel, eat out, and do what you love. It should be fun, and it's part of plant-based nutrition.
All right, well, unless we have any other questions, I'd like to recap. If we don't.
Wait, Sue's got a question.
Oh, Sue, go ahead.
What I brought up in the chat is whether or not there's anyone else, or even if you know of anyone who has had significant improvement in fibromyalgia from a plant-based diet. Dr. Grieger talks about it, that there have been trials that have that report that it's the only thing that makes it any better. I have not found that it any improvement in fibromyalgia with a plant-based diet. I'm trying to follow Dr. Grieger's instructions, and I've got his cookbook, and I've got the pot and but anyway, I'm just wondering, is there anybody that knows of anyone who has truly been improved in fibromyalgia from plant-based?
Ernesto?
Yes, I do have significant numbers of patients with fibromyalgia. Unfortunately, we really do not know exactly what causes fibromyalgia. And it's not really an autoimmune related problems. And so the people with lupus, they do great with the plant-based. But there is a significant inflammatory component. So an anti-inflammatory diet is still the best way to go, but there's really no specific diet as far as I know.
But I'm not finding any relief.
Yeah.
I have plenty of other reasons to, I have been on a diet. I am 67. I went on my first diet when I was 12. when you're talking about things to do in the restaurant and bringing foods, I can't tell you how many food plans I have been on when I have brought foods with me to somebody's house or to a restaurant or to a party. And, you know, and those things have not worked out well. They just, you know, how not to diet, you know, there's many things that keep you. So I'm wondering.
Sue, there are great examples of people getting excellent results from this, but it is a challenging problem and it isn't everybody. I have seen people make good results and others who take a long time to get better. A part of that is a result of the microbiome in your system that is off balance. And you might like a good book by Dr. Will Bolshewitz called Fiber Fueled. Certain times people are intolerant of what are called FODMAPs or other components of certain foods, and that creates, as Ernesto said, not an autoimmune problem, but an imbalance in their system that sets up inflammation. So rest assured, you are doing the right things. Hold with it. It may take more time. Look up Fiber Fueled, and I can talk with you offline some too if you have additional questions.
All right, thank you. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. This is a great meeting as usual. I want to inform everybody about a couple things coming up and exciting announcements. PBNSG is in the process of creating an online learning platform, and more information will be released. I'd also like to announce, and this is true and dear to my heart, that PBNSG is now in collaboration with Walker's Way. Walker's Way is a former website of mine. It's a family support system. With Walker, my son is kind of the face of supporting families with children, because it all starts with the kids. And so on PBNSG website, it says for families, Walker's Way, you can join, ask questions, get meal ideas, because we all know that feeding kids is a little bit different than feeding our adult selves. Don't forget that PBNSG has an amazing shop page, and we have the Perfectly Plant-Based Cookbook. I have it here, and it has 100 whole food, plant-based, no oil recipes. I've been going through it. I haven't had a bad one yet. And there's a discount code, virtual, for 20% off. I'll type that in the chat box. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. So I'll put that discount code in the chat box. And if you come up with any questions later, because I know that happens sometimes, just email PBNSG. Well, I'll type in the chat box, connect@pbnsg.org. Email any questions you may have. Lauren, thank you so much for coming. You gave us such great tips. You know, I'll close with this. You know, Paul likes to introduce with jokes. I like to quote Albert Einstein because I'm a science teacher. As a former science teacher of 15 years, I'd like to end each meeting with my favorite quote. And I've told my students this year for 15 years, and now I'll tell PBNSG members for the next 15 plus years. Anyone who hasn't made a mistake hasn't tried anything new. And I think that's truly applies to this, to all facets of life, but I think particularly for anyone transitioning to a plant-based lifestyle. I believe that we need to support each other and recognize that there's no such thing as perfection, only progress. And every meal, every bite is a step in the right direction. So thank you everybody for coming. And thank you, Lauren, and thank you, Paul, and thank you, Marion and Dr. Brakey and everybody.
Thanks, Megan.
All your
When's our next meeting?
Second Thursday of every month. In fact, yes, thank you for reminding me, Paul. Second Thursday of every month, so it's easy to remember. But next week, January 19th, on Tuesday, we have our donation-based event with Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. And then Tuesday, January 26th, we have our donation-based culinary event with Brittany Giroudi. So that should be great. So lots to come. But I'm going to type in that couple things in the chat box, and hope to see you guys all in 1 month.
Be safe, everybody, please. Mask and distance, and love yourself, please. Everyone, I'm giving you this. All right. So good to see you guys, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you.